Echoes of the mind in the quiet town of Brooksville, where everyone knew each other by name. The arrival of a serial killer seemed unfathomable. Detective Laura Harlow had never dealt with more than petty thefts and occasional bar brawls, but the peaceful facade shattered when a series of brutal murders rocked the community. Each victim was found with a single, precise incision at the base of the skull, and each crime scene was meticulously clean, devoid of any evidence. Laura, a seasoned detective with a keen eye for detail, couldn't shake the feeling that these murders were more than random acts of violence. There was a pattern, a purpose hidden within the brutality. As she delved deeper into the case, she discovered that all the victims had one thing in common. They were all patients of Dr. Victor Hansley, a renowned psychiatrist with a reputation for curing the incurable. Dr. Hansley's office was a stark contrast to the grisly crime scenes. It was a sanctuary of calm with soft lighting, plush chairs, and shelves lined with books on psychology and human behavior. Laura sat across from the doctor, studying his calm demeanor. "Detective Harlow," Dr. Hansley greeted with a warm smile. "How can I assist you?" "I'm investigating the recent murders," Laura replied, her voice steady. "All the victims were your patients." Hansley's expression didn't falter. "A tragic coincidence, I'm afraid. They were troubled individuals, but I assure you, I did everything in my power to help them." "Did any of them mention feeling threatened or followed?" Laura asked, watching him closely. Hansley shook his head. "No, they were all focused on their treatment. Mental illness is a complex battle, detective. Sometimes, despite our best efforts, we can't save everyone." Laura nodded, but her instincts told her there was more to Hansley than met the eye. She left his office with a lingering sense of unease. Determined to uncover the truth, Laura obtained a warrant to search Hansley's office. She and her team combed through his patient's files, looking for any clues that might connect him to the murders. Hidden within the neatly organized folders, Laura found something that made her blood run cold. Detailed notes on each victim, documenting their fears, their weaknesses, and their darkest secrets. But it was the last entry in each file that caught her attention. A single word written in Hansley's precise handwriting: cured. Laura's mind raced. What if Hansley's method of curing his patients involved more than just therapy? What if he believed that death was the ultimate release from their suffering? Laura's theory gained traction when another body was discovered. This time the victim was still alive, but barely. Emily Carter, a young woman with a history of severe depression, had managed to escape her attacker. She was found in a state of shock, her body covered in bruises and a deep incision at the base of her skull. In the hospital, Laura sat by Emily's bedside, hoping to glean any information that could lead them to the killer. "Emily, it's Detective Harlow," she said gently. "Can you tell me who did this to you?" Emily's eyes flickered open, filled with tear. "It was Dr. Hansley," she whispered, her voice trembling. "He said he was going to cure me, but I had to be brave. I had to trust him." Laura's heart pounded. She suspected Hansley, but hearing it from Emily confirmed her worst fears. She immediately called for Dr. Hansley's arrest, but when they arrived at his office, he was gone. The manhunt for Dr. Hansley consumed Brooksville. Every resource was dedicated to finding him, but he seemed to have vanished without a trace. Laura couldn't shake the feeling that he was still watching, waiting for the right moment to strike again. Weeks turned into months, and the trail grew cold, but Laura refused to give up. She pored over every detail of the case, searching for anything they may have missed. Then, one night, as she reviewed Emily's file again, she noticed something strange. A series of numbers scribbled in the margins. It wasn't part of Hansley's usual meticulous notes. She stared at the numbers, her mind racing. They formed a pattern, a code. After hours of deciphering, Laura uncovered an address, an abandoned psychiatric hospital on the outskirts of town. It was a place long forgotten, rumored to be haunted by the ghosts of its former patients. Laura and her team approached the hospital with caution. The air was thick with tension as they entered the decaying building. The halls were lined with peeling paint and broken furniture, remnants of a bygone era. They moved silently, flashlights cutting through the darkness. Laura's heart raced as they reached the basement, where the old treatment rooms were located. There, in the center of the room, stood Dr. Hansley. He looked different now, disheveled and wild-eyed. "Welcome, Detective," he said, his voice echoing in the empty room. "I've been expecting you." "Hands where I can see them, Hansley," Laura commanded, her gun trained on him. Hansley complied, a twisted smile on his face. "You don't understand, do you? I was trying to help them, to free them from their suffering." "By killing them?" Laura retorted, disgusted. "They were already dead inside," Hansley replied, his voice calm. "I just ended their pain." Before Laura could respond, a sudden noise echoed through the room. She turned, just in time to see one of her officers collapse, blood pooling around him. The rest of the team was quickly overpowered by a group of masked individuals who had been lying in wait. Hansley laughed, the sound chilling in the dim light. "You see, Detective, I am not alone. There are all others who believe in my work." Laura was restrained, her gun taken from her. She struggled against her captors, but their grip was ironclad. "You are insane," she spat at Hansley. "Insanity is a matter of perspective," he replied. "I simply see the truth." Hansley approached her, a syringe in hand. "You too can be cured, Detective, free from the burden of your mind." As he moved to inject her, a gunshot rang out. Hansley stumbled back, a look of shock on his face. Behind him stood Emily, her hands shaking as she held Laura's gun. "I won't let you hurt anyone else," Emily said, her voice strong despite her fear. Hansley collapsed, his reign of terror finally over. Laura freed herself and rushed to Emily's side, relief washing over her. Brooksville slowly began to heal from the horrors inflicted by Dr. Hansley and his followers. Emily received the help she needed, her strength and bravery and inspiration to the community. Laura returned to her duties, but the case left a permanent mark on her. She couldn't forget the look in Hansley's eyes, the conviction in his voice. It haunted her, a reminder of the thin line between sanity and madness. One night, as she reviewed her notes for the 100th time, a thought struck her. She retrieved Hansley's journal from evidence, flipping through the pages until she found the last entry. There, scrawled in his handwriting, was a single word: cured. But beneath it, in a different, shakier script, were the words that sent a chill down her spine: "I am free." Laura stared at the page, her mind racing. She realized with a dawning horror that Hansley's work might not have ended with his death. There were still others out there, followers of his twisted ideology, waiting for their moment. The mind's echoes, it seemed, would continue to reverberate through Brooksville, a constant reminder of the darkness that lurked within the human soul.